Hey y'all, it's me to be watching, back with another video. Um, Black fatigue. It's been all over TikTok. The definition has been Christopher Columbus. Okay, they done gave it a whole new meaning. I got some videos we're gonna get into. The raccoons came out, ignorant as usual, joining the Black fatigue chit chat. So let's get into these videos. As always, thanks for tuning in and supporting. I enjoy y'all comments. Y'all get into these videos that I found. And side note, I'm not posting the original video because I don't care what that woman got to say. But let's get into these other videos.
There's a growing sentiment, most recently, of individuals who are proclaiming they do have black fatigue. And you don't have to be a non-black person to have black fatigue. What does that phrase actually mean? Essentially, black fatigue is a growing weariness of the actions of the quote unquote black community. But it goes deeper than that because we are in 2025 now, and we are being judged based on the content of our character and not the color of our skin. But the interesting part is, the lie that's been sold to the black community in particular is that the color of our skin dictates the content of our character. That's why in the black community, sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, you are acting white, when they're talking to someone like myself who doesn't act the way most people would expect a conventional black person to act. In their minds, there is a correct way to act black. And the people in your ethnic group who fulfill those very negative stereotypes, those are the ones who are going to essentially drag down the collective whole. And that's why there's individuals who are black who do and can have black fatigue, because they see how damaging it is to see the worst of us attract all this negative attention that then unfortunately gets ascribed to the entire race all too often. But what's unfortunate is here in 2025, now we have to contend with the fact that there's people who are so sick and tired of seeing those negative aspects, those negative individuals in the black community attracting all this attention. That's what is spurring this black fatigue. I think it's something that needs to be talked about. And until we turn inward and address the issues in our own communities, I fear that this is only going to continue and get worse. And that's exactly what the powers that be want. They want to have us against each other instead of us against those who are really pulling the strings in the background.
Let's talk about Shiloh Hendrix, the woman who called a 5-year-old a racial slur. My first impression after watching the video, a little bit of white trash. I have to be honest, the kid was 5. I have worked with 5-year-olds for the last 15 years. Absolutely everything they do is out of pocket. They're like little unhinged drunk people. Nothing they do makes sense. A 5-year-old is capable of rifling through somebody's bag and taking things that don't belong to them. Ask any kindergarten teacher. But I realize why so many people are wanting to defend this, because black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, that they want to praise this woman.
Sometimes I genuinely wish I was stupid, because if I was, what you just said would have sounded so cool. White supremacy is a parasite. It latches on and it takes and it takes and it takes. You take our music, you take our style, you take our slang, you take our language, you take our environment. You take words that were created by the black community for protection and understanding, and you co-opt them. Because what the hell is black fatigue? It's a thing. Black fatigue is a real phenomenon, a real scholarly phenomenon that describes the black experience. What you're describing is just racism. Every day I truly understand how Donald Trump won, because his base is stupid. Don't read. Because black fatigue is a phenomenon that was coined by Mary Frances Winters, an author, and she wrote a book called Black Fatigue. Black fatigue is the exhaustion born of the day-to-day small acts of aggression or small acts of disrespect a black person endures. Racism. The fatigue of black people by way of 400 plus years of racism and white supremacy. One population of people through centuries of chattel slavery. After that, they go to black codes and Jim Crow. After that, they go to segregation. After that, they go to 40 plus years of the war on drugs, police brutality, the school to prison pipeline, etc., etc., etc. In 2025, we are sitting under a president that is trying to roll back everything we fought for over the last 400 years. So yeah, we're tired. I want to make it clear that black fatigue is not being tired of being black. It is being tired of the racism that comes with being black. And again, y'all don't read. Here's an article published by medical doctors in the American Heart Association Journal that describes structural racism as a fundamental driver of health disparities. Black people, due to the centuries of racism and white supremacy that we have experienced in America, contributes to black fatigue and a numerous amount of health disparities. A drop in quality of life, a drop in life expectancy, more susceptibility to diseases, COVID-19, heart disease, etc., etc., etc. We're not even going to get into the fact that you used the situation where a white woman called an autistic black child the N-word as a way to get this stupid ass point off. Nah, we ain't going for that.
And you know what? I'm going to use the hashtag Black Fatigue so that the whites making that content see this video. Black fatigue already has a meaning, and it's not the one that you think it is. Black fatigue means the emotional toll, the exhaustion inherent in living under systemic racism and having to deal with that shit day in and day out and live in a society and a culture that is, the deck is stacked against you and the rules are made to discriminate against you and make your fucking life harder. That is what that phrase means. You are co-opting that phrase and making it into something fucking... Just say what you fucking mean. All the people who really genuinely seem to believe that their First Amendment rights include the right to avoid any kind of social consequences for the things that they say and get so fucking butthurt about their fucking free speech. Let me tell you, they understand. They understand that they are going to have social consequences from the shit that they say. Some of them do anyway, which is why they co-opt phrases like black fatigue. This is like when a narcissist goes to therapy and learns all of the therapy language so that they can then go out and try to gaslight and abuse all of the people in their lives. If you don't like black people and you're tired of hearing about black people and hearing from black people and having black people around you or in your face or in your culture, just say that. You're using a phrase like black fatigue to try to make what you're saying sound like it is some sort of intellectual discourse that we're having. This is not intellectual discourse. This is you're a racist and a bigot. Just be a racist and a bigot. Oh, what? Are you afraid of the social consequences of that behavior? Gasp. Let me clutch my pearls.
Black fatigue? This is where we at now? Imagine how we feel. Y'all even colonized that. Like, black fatigue is not what y'all created it to be. It was the fatigue of black people having to exist in this country and dealing with all y'all dumb shit. We were tired, not y'all. Imagine telling the internet that you're tired of all the ghetto-ness and the ratchetness and all of the fights when y'all are quite literally the godfathers of violence in this country. And then all the ghetto and ratchet speak. Your kids are emulating exactly what we say and calling it Gen Alpha and Gen Z speak when it was just AAVE repackaged to be palatable for white people. What are we talking? Like, y'all are quite literally exhausting. But like, 8.5 by 11s are gonna do this all the time. I'm not worried about the hueless. However, the black people getting on and co-signing the black fatigue to make white people feel better could not be me. I imagine agreeing with white people when they aren't even picking you. Super weird. But like, sure, being held accountable for your racist ideology. If I were white and I had to constantly hear that black people are right and then it proves out and you're sitting there being mad, yeah, I'd be mad too. I too would be annoyed if I were half the age of black women but looked twice as old as them. Yeah, I'd be pissed too. So like, hold your black fatigue and raise yourself some accountability. Because oof. Happy Monday, y'all. Black fatigue, shut up.
No. It's okay. I've already called the sheriff's department.
That's fine. I'm finna go to work though, so
You cannot park.
you can't touch my door, man. I'm sorry, but
You cannot park illegally in handicap spots.
could you please move?
No.
Bro.
I'm sorry. The car got away from me.
Bro. So basically what happened was I was parked in a handicap spot. I have a Texas handicap sticker. And I'm in Wisconsin right now for a contract. So I got a Texas handicap sticker. I was parked in a handicap and I went to go get food. I was on my lunch break and I went to go get some Subway because it's at Walmart for some reason. So I went to go get Subway. Whole time she following me and I'm just thinking she doing what she doing. But I go out and she asks me, is this my truck? I tell her yes. Then she proceeds to ask, do I have a handicap? I told her yes. She asked, could she see it? That's when I started feeling like someone was finna, she was being a little racist. So I showed her the handicap, and she starts pulling out her phone to record it. So when she pulls out her phone to record it, that's when I tell her, like, hey, no, we're not doing that. You're not gonna record my shit. So when she did that, she just grabbed my door, and that's when I started recording. So basically, boom, after I stopped recording, she said she was gonna call the police. I let her call the police. Police pulled up. They were first acting hostile, like I was the victim or I was the aggressor. They started acting like I was the aggressor, but multiple witnesses came up and was like, "Hey, no, we seen it all. We want to tell a story too." So boom, that's when she started telling her story, which was lies. He could obviously tell it was lies too. I started telling my story, basically, and that's when, he was like, okay, so from here, we really didn't do shit. Honestly, the police officer really didn't do shit anyway. But he said from there, he told me go back to work, like nothing happened. He gave me a police report, and he supposedly told me that she's gonna have charges pressed against her for disorderly conduct and another charge for restraining me from going back to work. Also, he said she's gonna have to pay a $1,500 restitution fee, I guess, for the damages. So I hope he holds his word to that. I don't know how this gonna go. I filed a claim through my insurance though, so we gonna see what happens.
So let's get into it. Today's video is different. As you can see, I'm in the car on the go on my way to work, but I wanted to get another video out. And this topic, like, I was going in on my TikTok about it. Okay, so black fatigue. When I first saw the video, I really didn't see it from the original lady who did the video. I think I looked at it and I just kept scrolling because I'm like, whatever, rage bait. These chicks come out first of the month because the rent is due. They're doing what they need to do to get them that money. But when I started seeing black people joining in on the conversation, and I'm just like, we always have people in our community that has to join in loud, and they don't even know what they be talking about half the time. Like, granted, yeah, I get it. Having, we do have a lot of rowdy people. We have ghetto people, hood people, whatever. But it's like at the same time, trying to use black fatigue to explain how you feel existing with other black people who are non-conforming. It's just like, are y'all for real? Like, are y'all for real right now? It was black people talking about, it really wasn't a lot of them, and I'll say that, but that's the small group was basically trying to say stuff like, oh, I can understand why white people are so upset being around black people because we have people that are so loud and so ghetto, and we have people that, they make the rest of us look bad, and how the hood is and the ghettos and this and that. And in my original video, I said, I find it interesting how a lot of our people go out their way to be in these, predominantly white spaces, and they'll put their kids in predominantly white schools and want their kids to have the best, which I'm not mad at. But as soon as ish goes down and your child experiences a racial slur, or, they are discriminated against, it becomes because they were black. And I felt like that's what the original TikToker was trying to say. Like, how y'all keep making everything racial when in reality white people are just tired of dealing with hearing about racism and all this and that. It's not about race is what they're trying to say. So I'm like, for black people to try to join the bandwagon and use this as a way to spew hate amongst those who are not able or who don't want to live outside of the hood or the ghetto, and they are content just being themselves. They're not living up to white standards or white supremacist standards, European standards. I mean, they're cool, they're good in the hood, and y'all mad at that. And I'm like, as if it's just black people that are rowdy, as if it's just black people that's walking around with bonnets on and pajamas through Walmart. Like, these were some of the examples that they were trying to use. you know, coming out the house looking, you know, kind of way. You see that from every ethnicity. Like, you see that from every race. Like, where I live at is real diverse, it's real mixed. And when you go to the Walmart, you see the Mexicans with bonnets on, you see the white women with pajamas on, sending their kids to school. The kids be going to middle school, high school with pajama pants on, blankets. But it's like, black people, y'all use this to get in, when in reality, these people talking about you. Like, you trying to get in where you fit in, but you can't fit in with them because they don't want you there. That's why I included the guy who calls himself a you know, I guess he called himself trying to be down with the other ones over there. And he made the comment of why black people, you know, would make white people feel this way, and because he talks white, and you know, he's not like the rest of the blacks, he's a good black, as if it's not other black people in the hood or in the ghetto areas that are educated, that talk a certain way, that learned how to code switch at a young age. Like, I hate when black people get on here talking about, well, they used to make fun of me for talking white. It's like, everybody got made fun of in school. I even got made fun of at one point because of my upbringing and how people knew who my parents were. They knew the jobs they had. And I used to get told all the time, like, you don't even act like you're from this neighborhood. My bad, I got sand in my throat. But they say I don't act like how I'm from the, you know, the hood that I'm from. And I never used to take that any other kind of way. If anything, I'm happy that I grew up to appreciate my humble beginnings and the neighborhood that I grew up in. I never was like one of those people that were trying to get in with white people and assimilate into their culture. I never was that. But I always been a person that's been open to learning different things and traveling and just seeing how people are in their own, you know, neck of the woods. But you know, I felt like my upbringing made me who I am, and having to go through and see things that you would see on The Wire, you know, it made me into the woman that I am. Like, I used to be ashamed to say what city I was from when I was younger because of how people would be like, really? You from there? Like, you don't look like you from there. Like that. People used to always say that, you don't look like you from there. And I used to be like, how does it look? Like, how does being from the hood look? But it's like, you got black people that encourage that same stereotype. Like, how does being from the hood look? How does being from an impoverished area look? People used to say, you don't look like that, or you don't talk like that, like you from there. And I'm like, I knew so many people from the area that live there, still there to this day, the old heads they would call them or whatever. And you know, they had businesses, they homeowners, doctors, lawyers, teachers. You know, most of the people in these areas have service jobs, working in the hospital. You know, they just like their environment. A lot of these people been here since the neighborhood was established. You know, you can't help that you got a couple knuckleheads, but it's just like, it is what it is. You got old women and old men still living in these same neighborhoods that you probably wouldn't even want to walk down the street in, but they be walking around, going here and there. So you even got white people that live in the hood, riding bikes, and they feel no sense of fear. So it's like, but that's my little rant. I'm almost at my job. I just thought the whole conversation was really interesting, and it was funny to even see like different races of people chiming in, offended as well. Like, hold up, y'all, Christopher Columbus, the whole black fatigue freaking title, that was already something, and now you trying to give it a new name and a new meaning. No ma'am, no ham. So as always, thanks for tuning in. Let me know y'all thoughts, if y'all y'all thoughts and opinions on this black fatigue title. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all with the next video. See y'all.